Yo, what's going on? It is a little bit after 1 p.m. here in Crystal Lake, Illinois, but it's time for another live stream. Sorry, guys, I am running a little bit late. Just hopped out of the shower after my run. But it is Monday, June something, June 19th, Monday. Feels like a Monday because I just got home yesterday. Felt like I had a weekend trip, but I was in Seattle. Today is, in fact, Thursday, June 19th. Happy Juneteenth to everybody. 2025. Man, my hair is dripping wet. It's getting all over my shirt. But I didn't want to keep you guys waiting, especially since I had to cancel live stream last Thursday, I think it was. So I'm sorry about that. I had to take my kid. She was feeling sick. So I had to take her in to get seen. Everything's fine now. Thank you for everyone for all the well wishes. But I got back and did a run today. It was very hot. Feels like summer. Today's the first official day of summer, apparently. And it's here. It's here. So if you are listening to this on the audio only version, welcome. And hopefully you are staying hydrated. Bring that handheld with you. And for everyone watching this later, but not live, you're watching the #1 internet radio show for runners that it is not on the radio. I meant to say drive time radio show, but I forgot. I'm still getting the hang of it. It's cumbersome. It's wordy. I got to work on it. But we're here now. All right. What do you guys want to talk about? There's so much to talk about today because I wasn't here last time. We'll talk all about Brooks. We could definitely talk all about that. That was a really fun trip. I had a great time out there. I love Seattle, guys. Last year I was out there for Tiger Claw. This year I was out there to go see Brooks and visit the Brooks HQ. The last time I was out there before that was one of the first Kofuzi Run Club events, and that was a shakeout run I did before Light at the End of the Tunnel Marathon. So, yeah, so 3 good trips to Seattle in a row, and the weather is always fantastic every time I go. Yeah, let's see. And related to Light at the End of the Tunnel, Mark wants to know thoughts on the Boston news earlier this week. Yeah. At least they're willing to do something. I mean, I think people are giving Boston a lot of grace and credit for saying that, like, they believe that Boston is doing it as a way of somehow managing the large number of people who are applying. I think that's very gracious of you to suggest that they're trying to do something nice. It seems to me they're just kind of picking on people, but it's their race. They can do things how they want, I guess. And I figure it was only a matter of time before they started doing that anyway. I'm not too annoyed about it. And yeah, I think a lot has been said about the Boston downhill rules. As someone who has BQ'd without downhill races, has BQ'd with a downhill race, the Light at the Tunnel Marathon being one of those races. It seems somewhat arbitrary. You're like, 5 minutes, 10 minutes penalty if we're doing that. So that's one way to do it. I mean, they could have just said we're no longer accepting qualifying times from certain races. They could have said that as well. But yeah, I'm not too mad about it. It's a very Boston. I'm surprised, frankly, that there wasn't a rule already. It's a very Boston thing to do. So I probably have the tamest take on it of anyone. Rich Dizon says, hope you had a great time in Seattle. You had a killer view of the Space Needle at Kerry Park. Definitely better than the 18% incline hike it takes to get up there. Oh boy. There was some steep hills. Drew and I went up to go to visit the Troll at Troll Bridge. That was pretty steep. It wasn't too long, but it was steep. And then when I ran around Lake Union, there's one section of it where it kind of departs from the lake a little bit, the official path, I guess. And I kept having to go up and down just giant hills. So that was kind of annoying. But it was it's I just love it out there. The food's great. Every time I go to that region of the country, I'm like, there's so many Asians here. In a very different way than when I see a lot of Asians on the East Coast or in LA, or in Chicago or wherever, anywhere else. It's just very different there. it seems like the Asians are less segregated in a way. I don't know. Maybe that's biased, and maybe that's just because of where I'm spending time. I don't know. Coincidence, but it just feels less unusual to be Asian in Seattle. I think that part of the country is just a great place to be an Asian American. I feel like. I don't know. But I had a good time. London notifications went out today as well. And Johnny Dodgen got the annual London Marathon rejection, immediately entered the Manchester Marathon. I feel like that's good. I mean, Manchester Marathon, I feel like good. That's got to be good for them. It's kind of like Philly and New York. If you don't get into New York, everyone runs Philly, it seems. But sorry you didn't get in. I saw the graphic that they included this year at the header of the London Marathon rejection email. It's a picture of two people. It looks like they're photographers, but it looks like there's two people on a bridge watching runners kind of come on towards them underneath them. And the people on the bridge are like out of focus. So like visually it's saying like, this is going to be you watching from the sidelines, even though you want to be running. So get used to this image, you watching other people run the race that you want to race. And I was like, is that really it? And someone was like, what kind of image are you supposed to use? How do you do that well? And I'm like, no image is a great idea. Try using no image. Just like you can even just use like a little London Marathon header, so that people know it's an official London Marathon email. And then that's it. You don't need a picture. Not everything needs to be a graphic. Sean Devlin says, what does Des's shoe smell like? So I did get to hold Des Linden's shoe while I was at the headquarters. So every HQ has like a history wall, right? And so, or maybe they have more. Like in Adidas, they have not only like a history area, but they also have like the archive. And for each sport, depending on the building you're in, there might be another sub-history, but there's history, right? As part of the decor, as a way of decorating, but also celebrating the legacy of the brand. And the Brooks HQ, which is across two buildings now, but in one of the buildings, like on the second or third floor, there's this long hallway that has the history. And they have like an old Brooks roller skate. It looks like it's from like a Depression era catalog. Like, I don't know if it's really that old, but they have that. And they have like a Brooks basketball shoe, which is not as old, but old. And then like, because Brooks used to make a bunch of different things. And then at some point, I think it was right around the Berkshire Hathaway years, they were like, we're getting rid of everything that is not running, and so then they just made running shoes. And then this year they started making lifestyle. But anyway, along that wall, Des's shoe is on the wall. And I don't know. If you had asked me, like, what does it look like at the Brooks HQ for Des Linden's shoe that's on the wall? Like, one, I would be like, that's probably not where they have it. They probably have it somewhere else. But it's there on the wall as part of like the timeline on this long hallway. And I thought it would be in a case. But I go up to it and I'm like, oh, this is just here. And I just heard a story because at dinner the night before, Des was there and they were talking about Hyperion Elite 5. And they kind of went through some of the history of Hyperion Elite. And they specifically mentioned that, like, they had painted it out black. She had gotten it like a couple of days before the race. She was like, whatever, I'll try it. And as she was running it, the paint was scuffing off of the foam. And so like you could see the white. And I'm looking at the shoe and I'm like, oh, there's the white parts. I could see it. And because otherwise I was like, this doesn't look like Des's shoe. This is like a reproduction. This is a fake. But it has her signature on it. Or it has a signature. I mean, I couldn't verify that that's Des's signature, but I have no reason to believe it's not. And it says on the thing that this is the actual shoe she wore. And it's small. It's very lightweight. But the thing is, I didn't want to squeeze the foam too much. I'm like, this is not a new shoe anymore. And this is something that they're going to want to save. So I don't think they want people poking it, and doing a Charmin test on it. And so I was like, I shouldn't be doing that. And I wasn't going to even touch it. But then someone else in the group touched it first. And I was like, oh, that thing is just there. I wonder if I could pick it up. And so I picked it up. I picked it up. And then I took some pictures of it. And it was pretty cool. I did not smell it because I feel like me smelling shoes straight out of the box, that's one thing. Me smelling a shoe that someone else has worn, I'm not going to do that. That's gross. And people might think that's weird and creepy because it kind of is weird and creepy. A shoe that someone's worn. So I did not smell it, but I did get to hold it. And here's my conspiracy theory on Des's shoe. My conspiracy. So I'm looking. So I've tried Hyperion Elite 5, 4 PB, 4, 2, I skipped 3, and Hyperion Elite 1. I was one of the few people that, and I know you guys have heard me rant about Hyperion Elite 1. I did not have the right amount of beers to give anyone a hard time about Hyperion Elite 1. I did not have enough beers at a time when anyone with Brooks was still around over the time I was there. Like after we went to a baseball game last night, and after the game, maybe I would have brought it up, but I didn't bring up Hyperion Elite 1. But anyway, having tried Hyperion Elite 1, I'm like, this doesn't feel that different than what else was out on the market at the time. And Des has always said the shoe was great to be able to run in, and it was a part of the victory in Boston. And I've seen the footage of her running in the shoe. It's hard to kind of make out because it's all blacked out and it was raining and the streets looked very similarly black, in terms of color. So it's hard to kind of pick out. But I always felt like, man, that shoe is deflecting a lot. There's a lot of compression and decompression happening on that shoe. And that feeling, that what I'm seeing on the camera in 2018 in Boston feels so different than what I felt in Hyperion Elite 1 and Hyperion Elite 2, and even into Hyperion Elite 4. That I was like, that is not the same as anything near the same as what we're getting in any of the Hyperions. I don't know where the translation is being lost, but it's not getting it. My conspiracy theory was they found a way to get some Zoom X P-backs and put it in a shoe, but they couldn't mass produce that for whatever reason. Maybe Arkema wouldn't make them Zoom X or P-backs or PIBA in the same formulation kind of way, or maybe they didn't want to pay for the PIBA. Maybe there was some sort of patent blocking it, So that was my theory, is they actually had a 4% shoe that Des wore. But they just couldn't ever make that for real. And it being Brooks, maybe there was a monetary reason why they didn't want to spend the money on the foam. But having picked up that shoe, long story short, it feels kind of like the foam that we got. The geometry was way different, and there was a big giant cutout in the middle of the shoe that Hyperion Elite 1 I don't think had. And so I could see it. That could be a big reason why there was so much more deflection of foam. But it was a very similar foam, or it seems like it. And yeah, so conspiracy theory debunked. Stevie 76 says, long story long. Steve McKellen wants to know, have you ever met Des? I've met her a bunch of times. Most of my first initial meetings with her are at TRE, where I'm sure I was bothering her because it's usually at the bar. There's a big Brooks party at the end of TRE, and I usually see her at the bar, and then I would go up and say hi. And so I've met her a couple times that way, and then she ended up being coming to talk to our group a couple times over the course of the trip. She was at the baseball game, not last night, 2 nights ago, as well as some of the other athletes were also there. So I've never interviewed her. I've never sat down and had a conversation with her, but I've interacted with her before. Yeah. Someone was asking, let's see. Okay, so someone was asking if there was any good food, and Eric said, hope you hit some good chicken teriyaki and good beers in Seattle. So I did have some local beers. I don't remember what they were called. But I just feel like when you're anywhere from like San Francisco north on the coast, the IPAs just hit different. There's something in the air and they're always delicious. So I drank a bunch of IPAs. It was kind of the group we were with was a little bit of a cocktail drinking group. Like the hotel bar at the hotel was definitely like a fancy cocktail kind of place. I was like, okay, well, when in Rome. And so I ordered a cocktail and she's like, I'm out of that, but I can make you something that's like a riff off of an old fashioned and something bitters and something else. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know half the words you said, but that sounds delicious and I would love to try it. And so there was a lot of cocktails and stuff, but did have some good beers. For food, there was a good, like the hotel, there was like this little plaza. It was above a Whole Foods by Lake Union. And there was a poke place, which actually had really good poke, which I liked. And then we ate teriyaki. Drew and I went and got teriyaki from BB's Teriyaki. It was decent. It was quick. It was exactly what we wanted, like quick, fast, tasty. I guess quick and fast are the same thing. But it was good. It was really, also like half a block away from the hotel. So, yeah. All right. Leela says, hi, Mike. First time catching this live. Well, welcome. Which is more versatile, the Evo SL or the Rebel 5? I haven't tested the Rebel 5. New Balance doesn't seem to be sending it to me, which is totally cool. And it comes out July 1st, so I'll probably have to wait till that comes out. But if we're going to compare it to like the Rebel 4, I'd say they're both very versatile, which is why like Rebel 4 was my daily trainer of the year last year. Evo SL, I can't imagine anything knocking it off of being daily trainer of the year for 2025 at this point. So we're talking about two great shoes. And so they're both very versatile. I mean, if I had to kind of like feel like state a reason why you would pick one over the other, the main ones would be like, which one do you think looks better? Which one feels better for you when you're like standing in it? You know, like do some subjective things. But I might say like, if you're going to do a little bit more easy running in your daily trainer and being able to do some workouts isn't as big a deal, go with the Rebel. If you want to be able to also do some workouts in your daily trainer and you're going to do that regularly, go with the Evo SL. So that's how I would think about those two. Adam says, my comment about like the penalty, is that what we're calling it? The penalty or the adjustment that you get for running a downhill race is arbitrary. He says arbitrary. The standards are arbitrary to begin with. I suppose that's also true. There's nothing physiologically that says like, well, a 45-year-old man is, this many minutes slower than a 40-year-old man. So yeah, you're fair enough. Very fair. Mm-hmm. Mark says, my favorite brewery in Seattle is Georgetown. A bunch of beers are themed after the movie Point Break. Bodhisattva IPA for the win. Okay. I don't think I have ever been there. We went to one, Drew and I had a nightcap at some bar in Queen Anne. I don't remember what it was called. It was like close to the hotel. And we took an Uber and it was pretty fast. And then it was a Tuesday night, so it closed at like midnight. So it's kind of early, but yeah. Kevin Hawthorne is coming in from Lakeland, Florida. Welcome, Kevin. Adam says, let's talk about the NCAAs. Doris went under 9 minutes, and two Americans making the standard. Sullivan's 52 for the 400 hurdles. There was a lot of really great performances. I watched mostly the women's races because that's what my daughter wanted to watch. So that was pretty cool. We didn't get a chance to go to see LA Grand Slam track, which is something that I was still like half planning on maybe doing. But then it became not a thing for a Grand Slam track in LA anymore. But we were thinking we would maybe do a little bit of a Disneyland trip with the girls and then spend a day, maybe Friday or Saturday or Sunday. We were waiting to see like, all right, are they condensing it from 3 days to 2? And then what days are those events going to fall? And so kind of trying to decide that way. But then things kind of changed very quickly. And I guess it was kind of late for that. So chances are we probably wouldn't have made it there. I kind of just dropped the ball on it. But Like the same day we heard the news, my daughter was like, "Well, I guess I'll watch this track meet." And like I have YouTube TV, and at some point I must have told it to record something that like track meets just show up on TV, which is great. I love that for us. And my daughter was watching all the women's races, so that was pretty cool. So we did watch that. Yeah, some solid performances in the distances, in the like long distance running. So that was a lot of fun to be able to watch. Mark says, funny story, Co. The reason I brought the all black Peg Turbo 2 that I sent your way was because I thought it looked cool and sleek like Des's all black Brooks shoe from the Boston win. So Mark, I bought this pair of shoes off Mark a while ago. This one. Because I wanted to get an old Peg Turbo for reference sake. And this is the one he's talking about. And he bought this because he thought it looked like Des's shoe. And yes, it does look a lot like Des's shoe. Now that I'm holding it in my hand. This is a little bit heavier. But Des's shoes, I mean, Des is tiny. I mean, I don't, she's like 5 feet tall. She's, and so her shoes are smaller and that makes everything lighter, you know. But yeah, the shoes do look similar. Frank says, is Grand Slam track completely done? I don't know. So my prediction was for Grand Slam track. So to catch everyone up on the, make a long story short, new track league. They're supposed to have 4 meets. After 3, they canceled the 4th final one, which I think is embarrassing. I think is a way to put it. And my thought was they probably had some sort of problem with the broadcast rights. Maybe no one wanted to pay for them for the 4th one, and or ticket sales were almost non-existent. Kind of like with the World Roads Championships, San Diego was the host city. Their budget package was basically saying like, all right, well, we're going to have part of our funding is going to come from selling bibs for the mass participation races. And by certain like cutoff point, they'd only sold like, I don't know, let's make up some number, 10% of what they thought they were going to sell. So there was several $100,000 of shortfall. And so they wanted World Athletics to pick up the rest of the tab, and World Athletics said no. Instead, we're going to just pull the race from you. And so I felt like maybe something like that. I don't think it was either one of those two. I think it was probably both. Like a 1-2 punch. Because you, like, not finishing your inaugural season is really bad. And so whatever was on this is the better option, I have no choice but to do this, the other side of that had to also be bad. I don't think it was just that ratings were down. I'm guessing like I'm guessing that like someone backed out. I don't even know who had it, because the first ones were like on Peacock or Hulu, and then it was on, one of them was on CW, which was great for me. My YouTube TV picked it up. And then I don't know where the Philadelphia one was broadcast. So my thought was like, so basically they have to like kind of like cut their losses and try to make themselves look attractive for an acquisition. I think this is an acquisition move. Maybe they want, I don't think that they were doing so well that like Diamond League was like, wait, we can't afford to have you guys have this LA meet where we'll pay you to shut down. I think it was more like, we can't be trying to sell our product like to get acquired by someone if we owe people like $7 million, you know? So they were like, let's at least try to be like cash zero and minimize our liabilities and make ourselves attractive for acquisition. And that's kind of what happened. I thought that maybe Diamond League would buy them, or maybe they would merge, quote unquote, with Athlos. But they announced something with some sort of media group. And so it just looks like someone rescued them, and they put out some statement saying that like with this new infusion and collaboration, we're going to come back better than ever for 2026. They really emphasize this new app where fans will be able to create and own content. So there's an app component to it. that's supposed to be like its own community. Sounds weird. And so uh, I I don't feel great about whatever they announced. I don't understand what they announced, and so um, that doesn't bode well. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good. Um, it's kind of what I thought, but it's not as good as what I was hoping. You know. Sonny says Michael Johnson said there was a problem with the stadium deal with UCLA. Maybe it was a financial issue in terms of revenue share or something like that. I mean, I I don't think he's lying, but I think that the problem with the stadium deal was not a problem when they thought they were going to sell tickets. You know what I mean? They agreed to do a deal. You know, like no one forced them to do a deal. So they went into this deal thing saying like, oh, this LA deal, it's not the most favorable, but it's going to work. But I'm thinking maybe there is some aspect of it where like they were not going to get a discount from going to 3 days to 2, so they weren't going to get any savings. In fact, it was going to still cost them as much. Or maybe they were going to have to not get any kind of discount if they wanted to say like, look, we can't fill this stadium, so let's only just do the home stretch. Can we get a discount? You know, I feel like that's the issues with the stadium deal. I don't think the deal. I think that they're going hard after the stadium, and I think that like they're lucky that UCLA is like, no, 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 no. This was a deal we all agreed to, and we're happy to shake hands on and sign ink on this paper. But what they wanted was a discount because, you know, that's what I think is going on. That's what I think is happening. So, yeah. Yeah. Patrick says, it's annoying hearing Michael Johnson speak so confidently and positively after canceling LA. I wish there was a bit more honesty, transparency, and admission of regret. Yeah. So the two things that I thought were super annoying was that, because I'm like, that's not the right tone, you know. I don't. Maybe it's a sprinter's bravado, you know, that kind of mindset that you have to do going into it. Like, but it kind of has Fred Curley saying, "Next time I touch the track, it's going to be a world record." That's the energy that I'm getting. I'm like, I appreciate that you are confident in yourself, but what you're saying and what we're seeing doesn't match up, and everyone sees that. You know, that's one thing. So that was a little bit strange. The other thing that thought was strange is the way that a lot of people were like, you know, like, oh man, there's just so much we don't know, guys. Things are happening quickly. You know, it doesn't look good, but you know, let's just hold on and not get too upset about things because there's a lot of things we don't know. And I was like, well, some of the places that are saying that, I'm like, you guys are the closest to the team at Grand Slam of any other news outlet. It's not that we don't know. This isn't like a mystery, like a mechanical failure of a bridge or something like that, and we're trying to figure it out. Someone knows why decisions were made. That person's not saying, or those people are not saying anything. And either you haven't asked and pressed about it, or you're not willing to say, they're not willing to comment at this time. Like, we don't know. It doesn't mean it's not known. It means you didn't ask, or you're, for some reason, pulling a punch. And I hear so much about how, like, sports journalism is real journalism, and that's why we shouldn't have new media here. That's why we shouldn't have influencers here, because they are not media. They don't understand journalism. They're not real journalists. This was a chance. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, and I'm not saying this was breaking news and urgent, but like I felt like we were like, everyone's looking at this thing and seeing what it is and dancing around it all. And I thought that was really disappointing. And I'm like, this is an instance where I would have been like, it makes sense that they're not commenting. Michael Johnson has refused additional comment, right? Grand Slam track has not made any further comment. We've put in a request for comment. We're waiting to hear back. We didn't hear back as of time of publication. You know what I mean? Like that, I think, is the only thing that's, I mean, I'm just saying like that it just felt real. All of it felt really weird to me. So, but that's a minor thing. I mean, that's a gripe I have with running journalists, but you know. And Johnny says, will the Grand Slam athletes be out of pocket? At least because like their calendars are messed up. It could have been racing somewhere else, like the Diamond League. Yeah, so one of the things that I'm thinking of when you cancel like the last Diamond League, I'm thinking like, all right, well, there was like mentioned like the whole story like broke because there was like an all athletes Zoom call one afternoon that people were talking about. And so like I think that the news got broke to the athletes. There was enough cash left for them to like say like, hey, we're going to like cancel the rest of your contracts. And we know we had deals. We will give you what compensation we can, or maybe they'll honor the compensation, whatever appearance fees they would have gotten. But there's an additional NDA now that you can't talk about anything we talked about in this conversation. I don't know. That's how I see things going down, because we haven't heard from a single athlete, not a peep, as far as I know, about like, no one's even saying I'm disappointed that LA got canceled. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I haven't seen that at all. And so that's another thing where I'm saying like, oh, they're getting paid to stay quiet about it, to not complain about it. Why would they get paid to do that? Because they're trying to get acquired. And so they're trying to salvage whatever Grand Slam track value is left in the IP. Yeah, I think that's what's going on. I don't know. I've not submitted request for comment from any of the people that are involved, but that is just my speculation. I'm also not a real journalist, so that's why, I don't care to ask those questions. Steve McKellar says a Thursday afternoon co-rant. And I know it's been a while since I've had a rant, but yeah. Adam says, and here's my correction. Adam says, Nikki posted high praise for Grand Slam track and Michael Johnson. Okay, well, that's good to see. I hadn't seen that, but yeah. And Cosmopolitan Michael says, great insight from lawyer Co here. Great speculation from a former lawyer. But that's kind of why I think there's been such uniformity of message. Yeah, all right. Mark was saying, Mark, are you driving up to Grandma's this weekend? I think I think Grandma's is this weekend. Weather, I think, is looking good. Is that what you said, Mark? So, that's exciting. I wish I were up there. To me, it's kind of a bummer that so ASICS is the sponsor of that race, and every year I'm like, are you guys gonna do anything more exciting for Grandma's this year? And always the answer is like, I think they're invested as much as they want to be invested. But I just feel like if it were easier to get up there, that would be a race that I could easily do every year. Although maybe I just got to figure out a way to like, if I liked camping and stuff more, maybe, because then I could be like, all right, we're already up there. We can take my family camping afterwards, that kind of thing. So, yeah. Oh, Mark is running the half, 6 a.m. start. I think Dakota's trying to win the half this year, she says, right? Did I see that right? And I think, is Cara going to be running the 5K? No, Dakota's running the 5K. Oh yeah, she's running the 5K with her dad, and then she's going to try to run the half, win the half the next day. See, those are her goals. And then I think Cara mentioned no, Cara's on the broadcast team, is what I saw. Yeah. She could be running the 5K. I don't know. But yeah. I feel like it's a fun race. If I enjoy, Lake Superior is gorgeous. I hear the trout fishing is world class out there. I do love eating trout. I don't know how to fish. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, guys, but when I want to turn on TV, I'm trying to watch less like 24-hour cable news. And so I'll put on something like Northwoods Law, like cops, but for like DNRs, like Department of Nature and Natural Resources stuff. So it's all about like people that are fishing with the wrong permits or without permits and stuff like that. So now I'm just petrified of even like thinking about fishing, because I'm like, I don't even know how to get a fishing license. So yeah, it's just one of those things where I think I need someone that's into it to teach me. But Yeah, I feel like that would be a fun weekend if I were into those kind of things. Maybe I'll get my brothers-in-law to take me one day. I don't know. Oh, Mark says Kara's running the 5K with her son. Oh, fun. That's fun. Cool. Sunny says the weather's looking good for racing in 2 Harbor / Duluth. Besides potential humidity, we'll see how it fares closer to the lake. Hopefully it's nice and cool. The year I ran, I think that was a PR year for me there. That was my first sub 3. It was a PR. Ben Johnson paced me, and we had a tailwind the whole way. That was nice. Was it who was it? Someone was saying that BAA is next going to take time off or add time if you had a tailwind. I think that's funny. Adam says CIM has been named the USATF championships for 25 and 26. Waiting to hear if it'd be Masters champs too, and they'll open up more reasonably priced slots for us. Only slots left are $350 charity slots. Ooh, okay. It hasn't. CIM has been the USATF championships for a while now, hasn't it? It was in 20. It was in. Yeah, I can't think of. It's usually like the NCAA, or is it the NAIA championships, or yeah, I think it's NAIA championships, and then USATF championships. But that's good that they get. I think they do a great job of it. What's nice about it? I think that they treat the athletes that they bring in really well. I have heard from some international athletes that because they want it to be a USA championships, it's kind of annoying for non-Americans to get elite entry sometimes. But I don't think I don't think they just said it was annoying. I don't think they're like stopping them from entering. But yeah. Oh, that's cool. I'm not going to CIM this year. For 2025. Maybe 2026. 2027 will definitely be a year because that'll be right before that'll be one of those OTQ last chances. You know. Adam wants to know, was it the USATF or the RRCA championships? No, the year one, I don't know about I actually don't know for sure if it was for 2020. When was the last time I was there? 2024? No, 2023. Because that would have been the last one for the last OTQ window. But the year before that, 2022 was the USATF championships. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I could be wrong on that, but I was pretty sure it was USATF. And Mark says for grandmas, the wind looks to be east of northeast, so more of a tailwind than a crosswind. Okay. That's nice. That's going to be real nice. I was just thinking about like east of northeast, and which way does the race go? I'm like, oh no, that's going to be pretty nice. Very cool. Very cool. Hopefully it doesn't get too humid for you guys, but you will be by the lake, so it should be less, right? All right, let's take a look at some shoes. I guess we should weigh them. And I get my shoe sheet out. Oh man, guys, sorry, I wasn't ready for this, but I did get 2 pairs of shoes while I was up there. All right, share screen, shoe weights. This still takes way too many button pushes to do. All right, so we've got the shoe weights. Let's clear off all this highlighting that I did. And let's talk about some shoes. So we got, from Brooks, we got the Hyperion 3. And I didn't do any watt miles in it, but I did walk around in it. So, I mean, they wanted us to wear it like when we visited HQ. So I was like, okay. So that's what happened there. And then the other Brooks shoe I got was Hyperion Elite 5. So I finally got those. This has now 11 miles on it, I think. I want to say maybe 12. Yeah. So let's take a look at some of these. First things first, we've got, no, let's do this. Hyperion Elite 3. This one to me, the way that they've done the design on this, it's kind of, I was like, oh, this is kind of Nova Blasty in a little bit. I'm like, what is this going to be like? And I didn't get to run in it, but I did get to walk around in it comfy. But I feel like walking around in it isn't a great approximation for what you're going to get running wise. So I don't have much feedback for you guys yet. The upper is very stretchy. It's knit upper, which I like. I think Brooks actually does a really good job with knit uppers. I just don't like the shoes that they've been putting the knit on. Like the Glycerin Stealth Fit is usually my preferred Glycerin from a visual perspective every year. But I feel like the Stealth Fit on the Glycerin makes the Glycerin even less, agree with me less than the Glycerin already disagrees with me. But anyway, this up is nice. It's got a lot of padding in the back. It's kind of hidden, but there's, I would say, moderate. Not super like puffy, not like Nimbus back here puffy, but puffy. And it's got that like knit collar that kind of covers everything. I do like this little pink accent here that's on each side. And then a knit tongue, which is kind of thick. There's like, it's like knit and neoprene. I'm not sure. It's kind of weird. And it folds over on itself. Which is, I guess, makes it a pull tab in the front, but it just seems like there's a lot here, and I feel like this is going to get hot. Breathability's moderate. Yeah, a little bit less breathable than a knit kind of can be, but stretchy and nice, and I like it. The laces are stretchy laces, though. I don't love the stretchy laces. It just feels very imprecise. But yeah, it looks good. I like this kind of like peachy color on the bottom as well. As far as I know, I don't think there's any plate element in here. I think it's just DNA Flash version 2, I want to say. But yeah, so there's this. Let's get the scale out, because I feel like if I don't weigh it right away, I'm going to forget to weigh it, and then I'll be like, oh, we're out of time, guys. And then I don't weigh it, or I got to weigh it later, and I don't like to do that. So let's get on the scale now. All right. Yeah, this is looking pretty good. I mean, I think the materials that they've chosen for the upper, the padding, and this heel cup, very thick over here, adds a bit to the weight. All right, so we've got, this one comes in at 8.5 ounces and 242 grams. So nice, nice. All right, next shoe. I put in like 6 up-tempo miles, kind of starting slower than marathon pace and then kind of ending closer to marathon pace. Because Drew is two-stepping like crazy. He always wanted to be a step ahead. Wanted to be a step ahead of me, so we kept picking up the pace towards the end. But we're testing out a workout, like a racing shoe, so it's okay. But this is the Hyperion Elite 5 with DNA Gold. I think what they're calling these bubbles is double boomerangs. I think that's a reference to a something like it's a space reference. There is like a black hole that's shooting out gas, and it looks like a double boomerang. That's what they're calling that, and it kind of looks like these bubbles. I think that's what the reference was to. Someone was talking about it at dinner, and I was like, did they just say double boomerang? Okay. And then they're using Speed Vault Plus, which is their plate technology, and it does seem to be a like a framework plate and not a solid plate, like in the Hyperion Elite 4 PB. The plate position is of the lower variety. Starts out a little bit higher in the heel and then scoops down, not super aggressively, but it does scoop down quite a bit. And then the upper is gorgeous. I mean, the Brooks Racing uppers have been really nice. So, I mean, I guess maybe 4, 3. I didn't test 3. 4 was really nice. 5 was nice. Did I test 3? I'm trying to think. No, I don't know. Anyway, but this one is really... This is kind of weird, though. So these lace ties over here, they've got like this little thing. I don't really understand what's going on with these. It's like they kind of look like scales to me, like dragon scales on here, but they're made out of like felt almost. And so there's just like extra material apart from at the end of the lace loop. I don't know if that's just like a little design flourish or what, but it's kind of weird. I don't know, but extremely breathable. This one tastes like plastic. It tastes like it smells like it's been like 3D printed on here, and it also smells a little sweaty because I ran in it already. There's some padding in the heel, and again a little bit of knit material to kind of finish everything off to give it a little bit of a polished look. Insole is glued down, but I think you could get you can get it out of there if you really needed to. And then on the outsole, we've got some exposed foam and then the white stuff. So there's white in the cutouts of the rubber on the forefoot. This pink stuff is part of the midsole that's in here, exposed foam, and then 2 strips of rubber on the sides. Sean thinks I need to draw a nose and eyes over the double boomerang. I feel like if I were to get this, like if I were going to send this to Greg to do something with it, I would want to make it look like one of those fighter planes from like World War II, where they draw like a shark's face on the side of it and its teeth. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay. Cosmo Pineapple Michael wants to know, how do you compare to the HE4 PB? Okay, so going into this, just to set it up, I was thinking that this is going to be a Metaspeed Sky, Metaspeed Edge situation. The Hyperion Elite 4 PB definitely is the edge of the two. It feels like a heel striker shoe. If you are a 4-foot striker like me, you're like, if there's PBA in this, why is it so firm? Because of the way that the plate position starts out high, scoops down really low. It makes it feel much more firm than the PBA would otherwise feel. If you're hitting it from the heel and then rolling forward, that's a really nice motion. And I think that's why some of the Brooks athletes still prefer the 4 PB over the 5. But that's kind of what I was like, that's why I don't love this shoe. It's just not set up for me. And I was thinking, all right, well, Brooks has like their regular shoes and the Max shoes. They've got the Hyperion Elite 4 PB and now the 5. And the 5 is going to be their 4-foot stomper shoe. And it could have been, but it's not. Again, I think a lot of it comes down to the plate position that's up here. And it has a very aggressive taper at the front. I don't know what the word is. So the rocker or the geometry is how much, where it starts curling up. The toe spring is how far does it curl up, you know? Like, does it go, how far does it make your toes kind of deflect up into the air, right? And I don't know what the word is for how sharply things taper out. And because I think this has a pretty sharp taper at the front, there's a blue prototype that they kept showing us. That one is wild in terms of how much it tapers up front. That makes it just feel like there's a lot less foam for us 4-foot strikers in the 4-foot, you know. But if you're hitting it here in the middle and then rolling through, there's a lot for you to land on. But if you're 4-footing it, there isn't as much here, you know. Yeah. I think this is more of a mid-foot striker shoe than it is a 4-foot striker shoe. I think heel strikers will also like it. They're going to feel like it's very soft back here, though, because it feels nice and cushioned up front. Here it's a little bit softer than the Hyperion Elite 4 PB, but it's not as soft as like a Metaspeed Sky, either Tokyo or Paris. And maybe not even as soft as Metaspeed Sky Plus, which Metaspeed Sky Plus was a little bit on the firm side for my preferences, but I ran my fastest times in that one. But yeah, so I mean, I think I'd really like to get some, I mean, we put in 11 miles total, So that's plenty of time in it. At slow paces, I really don't like it. I feel like the foam is getting shoved up into my arch, but it's not as bad as some other shoes that are kind of set up somewhat similarly to this. But once you're up to pace, then it starts to feel really, really nice. The other hard thing is that I was running next to Drew, and his strides are a lot longer than mine. And I don't know if that happens to you guys, but when I'm in a group, hearing other people's foot strikes changes my stride length a little bit. So I was like, I constantly had to think about it. Like, don't run like Drew. Don't run like Drew. You know? So that was something that I had to do. I was like chopping my stride a little bit because I could feel myself overstriding. So that way Drew and I would hit the ground at the same time. But yeah, so I need to do some testing by myself in this to really get a handle on my ideas on it. But I'm very excited about this one. And I get very excited about every new Hyperion. Not every new Hyperion. I get excited about Hyperions because I want it to be good. But this one is, I like this way more than the Hyperion 4 PV. All right. Shrikalian P says, I think I said that right. With all super shoes, even new releases at your arm's length, what would I don't know what at your arm's length means, but what would Kopozy pick for a race day if I was running Chicago in 4 months? If I were running Chicago, I think I need to do a long run test in the Metaspeed Ray, but I have a feeling I'm going to be picking Metaspeed Ray if I'm trying to run a flat and fast race. I don't know what I'm going to run for. So my next race is Sydney. I'm probably going to run in the Sky, Tokyo for Sydney. And we'll see what I run in for if I do Metaspeed Ray for my next race after that. Other ones that I would put high on the list would probably be Puma Fast R3 and then CLO X1 2.0. This one, if they were, I mean, I think that I would really enjoy running. I think I could do races in this one for sure. I would enjoy it. But is it going to be like top 3? I don't know if it's top 3. This is a surprisingly. I thought this year was going to be bad for race shoes, frankly, because it was after the Olympic year. We've got a lot of good race shoes that came out this year. So, yeah. And I haven't tried Hyperion SC Elite 5. I think Endorphin Speed 5 is coming soon. And I think it's starting to get seeded to some people now. So that's interesting. I mean, that's a different kind of shoe, but I'm saying there's still a lot of shoes that are coming in the next 4 months that we need to take a look at. But can this Brooks shoe get in the top 5? Maybe. But of shoes that I'm going to be racing in, yeah, that's the short list. Metaspeed Sky Tokyo, maybe Metaspeed Ray, and then Fast R3. And then CLX1 2.0. And then I don't know what's after that. Calvin wants to know, will the On Light Spray get a race? I raced a 5-mile race in it. I did a turkey trot in them. That was a hilly race, and I think that was actually a pretty good use for them because then they were pretty stable, so they weren't all over the place. I don't know that I would want to race I don't know that I would want to race a PR attempt in the marathon PR attempt in the Light Spray. I could run a half marathon in them for sure. Oh, look at this. Juliana VB says, fun fact. The host of Hot Ones is from Crystal Lake. I was so proud to know where that is, thanks to Yuko. Really? I'll have to look that up. Sean Evans, I think is his name. Maybe there's another Crystal. I think there's other Crystal Lakes. But if it's the same Crystal Lake, that's pretty amazing. And it's a pretty big town, so I could see it. Mark says, I think I know what I'm going to do already, but for Grandma's half, would you use Vaporfly 2 with 60 miles or a fresh SC Elite 3 or Metaspeed Sky Paris with 100 miles? Oh, for the half? Let's see. Fresh SC Elite 3. That's a fun one. Metaspeed Sky Paris with 100 miles. Vaporfly 2 with the 60. I might go with the Vaporfly 2 for a half marathon. Because you're going to be moving. So I probably would pick Vaporfly 2, the Metaspeed Sky Paris, and then SC Elite 3. That's how I would pick it. That SC Elite 3 could be kind of fun. But I think for trying to race a fast half marathon, that's the order I would go for those. Oh, Sean says he went to Central High School. There is a Crystal Lake Central. Okay. So maybe it is this Crystal Lake. All right. Vanessa says, I could see co-eating wings with Sean. What's your spice tolerance? These days, it's really bad. My younger daughter thinks that ketchup can be spicy sometimes. And we season all the foods for our food for the kids to eat it. And then my wife and I will season our own plates kind of separately. My spice tolerance is probably moderate at this point. I don't really eat that many spicy foods anymore. My wife is not a huge spicy food either. She likes the flavors of it, but when I make pasta for myself, I love to add a bunch of red pepper flake. My wife does not like it when I add it at all. So, yeah. All right. Did we weigh this one? No, we didn't. We didn't weigh this one. I've got it on the scale though. Speaking of arbitrary, I do have some arbitrary thoughts on what's a good weight for a race shoe. And this is pretty close to that. So this one came in at 7.4 ounces and 210 grams. And I feel like in 2025 going into 2026, I would like to see for shoes to be under 200 grams in the race category. I don't think it has to be. It's not a deal breaker, certainly, if it's not like this one. But I'd like to, if you want me to be excited about specs on a sheet, which I usually am not that excited, but if you want me to get excited, you got to show me sub 200 as far as weights go. But I mean, this one's, I guess the area you would take out some weight, maybe a little bit of the rubber on the outsole, but I would think a lot of the padding back here is adding some weight. Although how heavy is foam padding anyway? I don't know. I don't know that you necessarily need the knit on this. It looks really nice. But I don't think Hyperion Elite 4 PB had knit in the back. So it's not necessary. Oh, no, actually it does. It has one of those knit pieces that wrap around into a pull tab. So it does. But yeah. Otherwise, where else would you? I think you could. I don't know. But it's close enough. I think. Well, 210 isn't super close, but it's close, and it's a fun ride. So I enjoyed it. I look forward to getting a long run or some mile repeats in it, just to really push it a little bit in a more structured way in my home environment, in a place where I can kind of get a sense of the shoe a little bit, remove more variables, But yeah, so that's it. Oh, should we see where they fit compared to other shoes? We'll do that, and then I gotta go. Let's see, sort sheet by column. Yep, column C. Oh no, I'm gonna go the other way. Sorry. All right, so 7.4. Oh, it puts it right at the same weight as the CLX1 2.0, which I would have guessed the CLX 2.0 is lighter. And it's the same weight as a Cloud Boom Strike, so okay. Lighter than the Endorphin Pro 4, which is not that surprising. And then the Hyperion 3 is basically an ounce heavier, 1.1 ounces heavier. And same weight as the Wave Rebellion Flash 2 or the Newton CF1. Oh, I still haven't tested that shoe. I feel bad about that. Okay. I did get some new shoes in. Mizuno sent a package. Reebok sent a package. And I got some, I don't know, I think a nutrition brand sent me something. So we'll do all that stuff next week. But that's going to be it for today, guys. Stay hydrated out there. Bring more fluid than you think you need. It's getting hot. Enjoy your long runs this week, and I'll see you guys again on Monday. Thanks, everybody.